The rain was soft that morning in Seattle. The streets were quiet, and the little coffee shop on the corner smelled of roasted beans and cinnamon. Ethan Cole wiped down the counter and looked out the window. He didn't know that today, his life would change forever. At exactly 8:03 a.m., she walked in the same girl who came every morning. Long brown hair, bright green eyes, and always the same gentle smile. She wore a navy blue coat and carried a small book with her. The cover read, The Lost Letters. Her name was Lila Harper. Or at least, that's what she said. Ethan had seen hundreds of faces in that coffee shop, but there was something different about her. The way she looked at people, calm, careful, as if she was studying everything around her. She never talked about her family, never mentioned friends, and always paid in cash. At first, Ethan didn't think much of it. But as days passed, she started staying longer, sometimes sitting by the window for hours, lost in her book or writing in a small leather notebook. One day, he gathered the courage to talk to her. "Hey," he said, smiling awkwardly. "You always order the same drink. You ever try something new?" She looked up and smiled. "Why change something that's already perfect?" That was the start. They began talking every day, small things at first. Books, movies, the weather. Then deeper things, childhood memories, dreams, fears. Ethan felt a strange comfort around her. She made silence feel peaceful. Weeks turned into months. Ethan realized he was falling for her. And slowly, he saw her walls start to lower. She laughed more. She told him she loved the rain, the sound of ocean waves, and late-night walks. She said she once lived in Los Angeles but moved to Seattle to start fresh. Start fresh? Ethan asked one night as they walked near the pier. Lila looked down. "Yeah. Sometimes, life gives you a second chance. If you're brave enough to take it." Her voice was soft but heavy, as if there was a story behind every word. Ethan didn't press her. He thought everyone had a past. Maybe she had a bad breakup, or a family problem. He didn't care. All he wanted was to see her smile. Over time, she became part of his life: morning coffee, late-night talks, and long drives with no destination. Ethan believed he knew her heart. But he was wrong. Because Lila wasn't who she said she was. One evening, Ethan asked her something simple, something that should have had an easy answer. "Hey, Lila, what's your middle name?" She froze. Her face changed for just a second, then she laughed it off. "Oh, that's a secret," she said. "Maybe I'll tell you someday." Ethan smiled, but something inside him noticed the hesitation. Later that night, as they sat in his small apartment, Lila suddenly asked, "Ethan, if someone you love lied to you, would you still forgive them?" He frowned. "Why would they lie?" "Maybe, to protect themselves," she whispered. He didn't know what to say. He just took her hand and said, "Everyone deserves a second chance." She smiled, but her eyes were full of sadness. Days passed, but something changed. She started to look over her shoulder more often. Her phone was always on silent. Sometimes, she disappeared for hours and gave no explanation. Ethan didn't want to believe anything was wrong, but one night, he saw her outside the shop talking to someone in a black car. When she noticed him watching, the car drove away fast. "Who was that?" Ethan asked. Lila's face turned pale. "No one. Just someone I used to know." But her voice shook. He wanted to trust her. He told himself not to worry. But love can't stop curiosity, and his heart was full of questions. A week later, Ethan planned a surprise dinner for her. Candles, soft music, and her favorite dish, pasta with white sauce. When she arrived, she smiled, but her eyes looked tired. He poured her a glass of wine and said softly, "I want to meet your family someday. You talk about them so little." Lila froze. The glass in her hand trembled. "My family," she repeated quietly. "They're far away." "How far?" he asked, trying to sound calm. She looked at him with a mix of fear and guilt. "Ethan, some truths can kill love." The room fell silent. The candles flickered between them. "What do you mean?" Ethan whispered. But she didn't answer. That night, she stayed quiet, barely touching her food. Before leaving, she kissed him on the forehead and said, "You've been so kind to me. Don't ever change that, Okay. He smiled, not knowing it was goodbye. The next morning, Ethan woke up to an empty apartment. Her things were gone. The necklace she always wore was missing. On the kitchen counter, a small note lay under his coffee mug. In her soft handwriting, it said, "Don't look for me. Please." Ethan's chest tightened. He read the note again and again, hoping it meant something else. But deep inside, he knew something terrible was behind her words. Outside, the rain started to fall again. The same soft sound that once brought peace now felt cold and empty. He didn't know who she really was. He didn't know where she went. But one thing was certain. He wasn't going to stop until he found the truth. Ethan couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lila's face, her smile, her soft voice, her eyes when she said, "Some truths can kill love." Those words kept echoing in his head like a haunting whisper. By morning, the note on the table looked different. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a warning. He called her phone again and again, but it went straight to voicemail. Her apartment door was locked, her neighbors hadn't seen her, and even her social media accounts, the few she had, were gone. It was like she had been erased from the world. Ethan sat in his car, staring at the rain on the windshield. "Who are you, Lila?" he whispered. Days turned into a week. Life at the coffee shop went on as usual, but everything felt empty. Every sound reminded him of her. Every stranger's face felt like it could be her in disguise. One night, while cleaning up, Ethan found something strange, an old photo wedged under one of the coffee shop's tables. It was Lila, smiling at the camera. But there was something new. She was wearing a small silver necklace with engraved initials, AM. AM. Her name was Lila Harper. So why was she wearing something with different initials? Curiosity turned into obsession. Ethan spent that entire night searching online. He looked up A.M. Seattle, Lila Harper A.M, and silver necklace initials A.M. Nothing. Until one result made his heart skip. An old missing person article. Amelia Moore missing after Los Angeles apartment fire. The photo was blurry, but the face was the same. It was Lila. Ethan's hands shook as he read the article. Amelia Moore had disappeared 3 years ago after her apartment burned down. Authorities said she might have survived, but no trace was ever found. Lila Harper wasn't real. She was Amelia Moore. Ethan couldn't breathe. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the screen. Was she running from something? Or someone? And why did she never tell him? He printed the article, folded it, and kept it in his wallet. He needed answers. That weekend, Ethan drove to Los Angeles. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't even pack much, just a bag, his wallet, and Lila's note. The drive was long and quiet. Every mile felt heavier. He replayed their moments together, her laughter, her fear, the way she always avoided talking about her past. By the time he reached the old neighborhood, the sun was setting. The address from the article led to a burned building, now surrounded by broken fences and weeds. The air smelled of dust and ashes. Ethan stood there for a long time, imagining her running from the flames, hiding in the dark, terrified. "Why, Lila, why didn't you tell me?" he whispered. A voice startled him. "You looking for someone?" It was an elderly woman from across the street, holding a small dog. Her name was Mrs. Rivera. She had lived there for 40 years. Ethan showed her the photo. "Do you know this woman?" he asked. The old lady squinted at the picture, then nodded slowly. "Yes. Amelia. She was sweet. Kept to herself. The night of the fire, I heard shouting, then she was gone. Never saw her again." "Do you know who she was shouting with?" Ethan asked. Mrs. Rivera's face turned serious. "A man. Tall, dark hair. Expensive car. He came around often before the fire. I told the police, but no one cared. They said she must have left town." Ethan's heart raced. "Did you know who the man was?" She shook her head. "No. But she was scared of him. Said if he ever found her again, she'd disappear for good." Her words felt like a punch to the chest. Disappear for good. That's exactly what she had done again. As Ethan walked back to his car, he felt something was wrong. Across the street, a black car sat quietly. The engine was off, but he could see the shadow of someone inside watching him. At first, he thought it was a coincidence. But when he turned the corner, the car followed. He sped up. The car did too. Ethan's hands gripped the steering wheel. He turned sharply down a small road, parked behind a grocery store, and waited. A minute passed. 2. The black car drove slowly past, then vanished into the night. His heart pounded. Who were they? And why were they watching him? He looked at the photo again. Amelia Moore. The necklace. The missing case. There was no doubt now. Lila had been hiding from someone dangerous. That night, Ethan checked into a cheap motel near downtown Los Angeles. He couldn't sleep. Every time a car passed by, he peeked through the curtains. He opened his wallet and looked at her note again. Don't look for me. Please. He finally understood. She wasn't just running from her past. She was running for her life. In the morning, he called the number listed in the article for Detective Samuel Pike, the officer who had once handled Amelia's case. To his surprise, the call went through. This is Pike, the voice said. Detective, Ethan replied nervously. I'm calling about Amelia Moore. There was a long pause. Who are you? I'm a friend, Ethan said quietly. The detective sighed. Then here's my advice, son. If you care about her, stop looking. People involved in that case, they don't just disappear. They're made to. The line went dead. Ethan sat frozen. The detective's words chilled him to the bone. But he wasn't going to stop. He had already lost her once. He wouldn't let fear take her again. As he packed his bag, he noticed something slipped under his motel door. A plain white envelope. Inside was a photo of Lila taken recently. On the back, written in red ink, were 3 words. Stop. Or else. Ethan stared at the photo, his hands trembling. Someone was watching him. Someone who didn't want the truth to come out. And now, he knew this wasn't just about love anymore. This was a fight for survival. The photo in Ethan's hand felt like fire. It wasn't just a picture, it was proof that someone was watching him, and that Lila was still alive. He sat on the edge of the motel bed, his mind racing. The photo looked new. The date on the back showed it was taken only 2 weeks ago. Lila was in a park, wearing a gray hoodie and sunglasses, but her face, even half hidden, was unmistakable. Someone knew where she was. Someone who didn't want Ethan to find her. He picked up his phone and called Detective Pike again. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Outside, thunder rolled through the sky, and rain began to fall the same way it had the day she disappeared. Ethan stared out the window. You said not to look for you, he whispered. But how can I stop now? That night, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Go home, Ethan. She's not yours to find. He froze. His fingers trembled as he typed back. Who is this? No answer. A minute later, another message came. Next time, we won't just send photos. Ethan's heart pounded. He looked through the window blinds, nothing but darkness and rain. He packed his bag and decided to leave the motel. He couldn't stay in one place. Whoever was following him was getting closer. He drove through the night, heading north toward Nevada. Somewhere deep down, he remembered something Lila once said during one of their late-night talks. If I ever disappeared, she had said softly, you'd find me where the stars are brightest. At the time, he thought it was just a poetic line. But now, it hit him. Lake Tahoe. They once planned to go there together. Maybe that's where she was hiding. The rain stopped as dawn broke. The highway stretched endlessly, quiet and cold. Ethan's eyes burned from exhaustion, but his determination kept him awake. He had to find her. He had to know the truth even if it hurt. At a small diner outside Reno, Ethan stopped for breakfast. The TV above the counter was playing the morning news. He wasn't paying attention until a word caught his ear. More. He looked up. The anchor was talking about an ongoing investigation involving the Moore family, a wealthy group with a history of business scandals and criminal ties. The name sounded familiar. He realized why. Amelia Moore. Lila. Ethan felt his stomach drop. She wasn't just running from an old boyfriend, she was running from something far bigger. He took out his phone and searched the name Moore crime family. Articles filled the screen about money laundering, murder, and corruption. And one headline stood out. More family trial, key witness vanishes before testimony. Ethan's blood ran cold. Key witness. That had to be her. She saw something, maybe something terrible, and went into hiding. Now everything made sense. The fake name. The fear. The lies. Lila hadn't betrayed him. She was protecting herself, and maybe, protecting him too. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He hesitated before answering. Ethan. It was her. Lila. Her voice was soft, trembling. Lila, he whispered, almost not believing it. Where are you? Are you okay? She didn't answer his question. You shouldn't have come this far, she said. They're watching you. Please, go home. Lila, I saw the photo. Someone sent it to me. She gasped. Then it's too late. They know you're involved. Tell me the truth, he said, his voice breaking. Who are you running from? She was silent for a few seconds. Then she whispered, I saw something I shouldn't have. They killed people, Ethan. I was supposed to testify, but I ran. I didn't want to die. Then let me help you, he pleaded. You don't have to face this alone. No, she said quickly. If you help me, they'll kill you too. He could hear her crying softly. Lila, he said, I love you. You can't disappear again. Her voice cracked. I love you too. That's why I have to. Before he could speak again, the line went dead. Ethan sat frozen, staring at the phone screen. His heart felt like it was being crushed. Outside the diner, he noticed a reflection in the glass of a black car parked across the street. Again. He stepped outside slowly. The car doors opened, and two men in dark suits got out. Their faces were cold and expressionless. One of them said quietly, You've been asking too many questions, Mr. Cole. Ethan's pulse raced. Who are you? The man ignored him. Walk away now. You don't want to be part of this. But Ethan didn't move. Where is she? He demanded. What did you do to her? The second man smiled faintly. She's not your concern anymore. If you love her, forget her. They got back into the car and drove away, leaving Ethan standing in the parking lot, soaked in confusion and fear. He got back into his own car, gripping the steering wheel tightly. His mind was spinning. If these men were connected to the Moore family, that meant Lila was still being hunted. He looked at her note again. Don't look for me. Please. But how could he not? Love had turned into danger. And danger had turned into purpose. That night, Ethan rented another cheap motel room near the state border. He placed the photo, the note, and the missing person article on the bed. The pieces were starting to connect, but one piece was still missing. Where was she now? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. 3 soft knocks. Then silence. Ethan's heart froze. He reached slowly for the door and opened it. No one was there. Just an envelope lying on the floor. He picked it up. Inside was a small map marked with a red X near Lake Tahoe. And under it, a short message in her handwriting. If you really love me, come alone. He sat down, staring at the map. It was her. It had to be. But was it a trap, or a cry for help? Either way, Ethan knew one thing for sure. He was going. Even if it cost him everything. The road to Lake Tahoe was quiet and lonely. Snow dusted the trees, and the world around Ethan looked peaceful, too peaceful. But inside, his heart was racing. On the seat beside him lay the map, the red X glowing faintly under the cabin light. The handwriting was Lila's. He knew every curve of her letters, every small loop at the end of her Y. He whispered, Hold on, Lila. I'm coming. The drive took hours. As he climbed higher into the mountains, fog began to roll in, covering the road in a soft white haze. The GPS lost signal, and the only sound was the steady hum of his car engine. Finally, he saw a wooden sign, Silver Pine Cabins. The map ended there. The red X was near a lake, deep in the woods. He parked the car, grabbed his flashlight, and stepped into the cold. His breath came out in misty clouds as he followed a narrow trail through the trees. Every sound, every rustle of leaves made him turn. Then he saw it, a small cabin, lights off, half hidden among the pines. He approached slowly and knocked on the door. Lila? It's me. Ethan. For a moment, there was silence. Then the door opened a little and there she was. Lila. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying, but she was alive. Ethan, she whispered, shocked. You shouldn't have come. I didn't have a choice, he said. You sent the map. She looked confused. Map? I didn't send anything. His heart sank. Then who? Before he could finish, headlights flashed outside. Lila grabbed his arm. They found me. The sound of car doors slamming echoed through the woods. Shadows moved fast. Ethan and Lila ran to the back of the cabin. Who are they? He whispered. The men who work for the Moore family, she said, her voice trembling. They've been hunting me since the trial. They killed the others, the ones who could speak. How did they find you here? I don't know, she said. Maybe you led them. Ethan froze. What? I don't mean to blame you, she said quickly, tears in her eyes. But when you started looking, they must have tracked you. They always do. He felt guilt crush his chest. Then I'll fix it. I'll get you out. They slipped out through a side door and ran into the forest. Behind them, flashlights swept across the trees, and voices shouted orders. Lila tripped, and Ethan caught her hand. Keep moving, he said. They ran until the lights faded and their breath came in heavy gasps. They stopped behind a large rock near the frozen lake. The water glimmered faintly under the moonlight. I can't keep running, Lila whispered. They'll never stop. Ethan turned to her. Then we make them stop. She looked at him, surprised. How? We go to the police, the FBI, anyone. You can't keep hiding forever. Her eyes filled with tears. The police can't protect me. The last agent who tried, they found him dead. Ethan felt his heart sink. Then what's the plan? Keep running until they catch you. She looked down. If it means you stay alive, yes. He took her face in his hands. I don't care about me. I care about you. For the first time in months, she smiled a small, broken smile. You're too good for this world, Ethan. Before he could reply, a loud voice echoed through the woods. Amelia Moore. Come out. They both froze. The men had found them again. Ethan pulled her behind the rock as gunshots broke the silence. Snow exploded around them. Go, he shouted. Run toward the lake. What about you? I'll hold them off. But Lila grabbed his arm. No. I won't lose you again. They crawled along the edge of the frozen water, bullets hitting nearby trees. Ethan spotted an old boat tied to a small dock. He pulled Lila toward it. They pushed the boat onto the water and climbed in, paddling with all their strength. The lake was silent except for the sound of the oars cutting through the icy surface. Halfway across, Ethan looked back. The men were at the shore, but they weren't shooting anymore. Then one of them took out a phone. Moments later, headlights appeared on the opposite side, another car. They were surrounded. Lila's eyes widened in fear. We're trapped. Ethan took her hand. No. Not yet. He steered the boat toward a small island in the middle of the lake covered with tall trees and shadows. As they reached it, they heard a helicopter in the distance. Are they sending more? Ethan asked. No, Lila said softly. That's not them. The helicopter light flashed over the trees, and a voice came from a loudspeaker. This is Agent Marcus Hale, FBI. Drop your weapons. Ethan and Lila looked at each other in shock. Minutes later, the island was surrounded. The armed men tried to escape, but the FBI moved fast. Gunfire echoed through the mountains. When it was over, silence returned, only the wind and the soft splash of water against the shore. Agent Hale approached them. He looked serious but calm. You must be Amelia Moore. Lila nodded slowly. Yes. But I go by Lila now. Hale nodded. You've been hard to find. We've been trying to bring you back into protection. Ethan stepped forward. Protection? She's been running for 3 years. The agent sighed. I know. The program failed her. But this time, we'll keep her safe, I promise. Lila looked at Ethan. If I go with them, I'll have to disappear again. He swallowed hard. Then I'll disappear too. The agent frowned. It's not that simple. Ethan looked straight at Lila. I found you once. I'll find you again, no matter what name you use. She smiled through her tears. You always say the perfect thing, Ethan. As dawn broke, the FBI led them to safety. The men from the Moore family were arrested, but Agent Hale warned them quietly. This isn't over. There are still people out there who want her dead. Ethan took Lila's hand. Then we'll face them together. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel afraid. The night was silent. Only the sound of rain hitting the window filled the room. Emily sat on her bed, holding the letter she wrote for Ethan. Her hands trembled. The truth had already exploded, and there was no going back. 3 years of pretending. 3 years of lies. Now, everyone knew who she really was, not Emily Carter, but Sarah Collins, the daughter of a man Ethan once blamed for destroying his family's business. Her world had crashed overnight. When Ethan found out, he didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just stood there, eyes cold, heartbroken, and silent. That silence hurt her more than any words ever could. Now, she sat in the dark, wondering if he would ever forgive her. The next morning, the small town of Willow Creek buzzed with rumors. Everyone talked about the fake girl who had fooled the kind-hearted Ethan for years. Ethan didn't care what people said. He cared about one thing: why? Why did she lie? Why did she pretend? He walked to the lake where they first met, the place where she had dropped her scarf and smiled shyly at him. Back then, he thought that moment was fate. Now, he wasn't sure what to believe. He stood there for a long time, staring at the water, until he heard footsteps behind him. Ethan, she said softly. He turned. Emily or Sarah stood there, soaked from the rain, her eyes red from crying. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice calm but distant. I know, she whispered. But I had to tell you everything. Please, just listen. Ethan looked away, but something inside him told him to let her speak. I didn't plan to lie, she began. When I met you, I didn't even know who you were. I just wanted a normal life. My father's name ruined everything for me. People hated me for something I didn't do. When I came here, I used my mother's name. I thought it was harmless. I just wanted to start over. Ethan's jaw tightened. You could have told me the truth. I wanted to. So many times, she said, her voice breaking. But every time I tried, I got scared. I thought I'd lose you. You made me feel safe, Ethan. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged. The rain got heavier. Neither of them moved. Ethan finally said, You didn't just lie to me, Sarah. You lied to everyone. You built your life on a lie. I know, she said. And I'll pay for it. But I didn't lie about how I felt for you. That was real. Every smile, every touch, every moment, it was real. He wanted to believe her. His heart screamed yes, but his mind said no. Days passed. Ethan tried to focus on work, but his thoughts always returned to her. He remembered the nights they spent laughing, the small notes she left in his jacket, the way she looked at him like he was her whole world. He couldn't erase those memories or the love behind them. One evening, he drove past her house and saw the for sale sign in the yard. She was leaving. Without thinking, he ran up to the porch and knocked. She opened the door, surprised. Ethan. You're leaving, he asked. Yes, she said quietly. There's nothing left for me here. He looked at her, really looked. The girl who had lied, yes, but also the girl who had changed him, who had taught him how to love and forgive. You hurt me, he said. You broke something inside me. I know, she whispered. And I'll never forgive myself for that. He stepped closer. But I also realized something. I still love you, Sarah. Even after everything. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Ethan. I'm not saying it'll be easy, he continued. I don't trust you completely. Not yet. But maybe we can start again. No lies this time. For the first time in weeks, she smiled, a small, fragile smile full of hope. I'd like that, she said softly. A few months later, people in Willow Creek stopped talking about the scandal. Life moved on. Ethan and Sarah walked through town hand in hand. The road wasn't perfect, they argued, they stumbled, they healed slowly, but they did it together. Because in the end, love wasn't about perfection. It was about forgiveness. And though Sarah's lie had broken the truth, love had built something stronger from the pieces. As they stood once again by the lake, Ethan looked at her and said, "No more secrets." She smiled. "No more secrets." The wind carried their laughter over the water, washing away the past and beginning a new chapter that was finally, truly real.